Don't listen. Not don't listen. Don't believe people when they tell you that it's going to go away. You'll have a better chance in managing it based on your competency level, your experiences, your know how, your knowledge, your fortitude, your will to blow past that, but it's not going to go away. Johnny Fontana, Real World INFJ, back with another video. And again, before I get started, let me preface by saying that I have another video that I recorded previous to this that I'm going to put out. It's actually with my wife. And it's a little bit more intense, right? And there's a reason behind it, in which my wife even pointed out that I was sort of out of character, right? Not in terms of out of character for being too intense, but just in a sense of me coming out of the INFJ character, okay, supposed, character in terms of not being so vocal and outspoken, right? Which obviously it all depends on your background, your history, what you've been exposed to, in your life. But there was a reason for that, and it was because of just my protective side coming out, right? Just to touch a little bit on it, right? Because you'll watch the video. But I want, because I don't want people looking at me and be like, oh man, like, and it's not to I'm not making this video to justify my actions or to be like, oh well, no, he's like that there, but he's not. He's like here, no, because I want people to really understand that when you're passionate about something, you know what I'm saying. Like it's okay to be, vocal, right, and to be intense about it. I mean, I'm, you know what I'm saying to you. But basically, the video is about non-INFJs providing advice to INFJs. And I don't have a problem with it, as I state multiple times and numerous times. But what happened is that when you have certain individuals that are just constantly giving INFJ advice, and what I mean by INFJ, like it's like not necessarily INFJ, but whoever subscribes to, those character traits, right? And I think that even though you may or may not subscribe to the 1%, I do believe that there are, a limited amount of people who sort of experience regularly these internal complications that we have, right? Some of us do a better job, like myself, at suppressing it, but others don't. And they can't because they just haven't found a way. And I think those who don't experience it, or who are a little bit more extroverted, who are more thinkers, can't possibly put themselves in a position to really, be specific and relate, and not only relate but also help these people overcome, right? Because I can give you advice and foundation all you want, but you really need to be like, hey, I see where you're coming from, yeah, but you've also given me that guidance based on that foundation, because only you who's experienced it could actually lead me from path to path. And I think a lot of these individuals are given advice based on their own on their own what do you call it again, on them saying that they are given the information based on their observations and comments that they received. And it's like, okay, so these comments are from people who may have been underdeveloped, who may not even know whether or not they're INFJ or not, just because they subscribe to that. So now you're given, foundation, basic, average advice. You see what I'm saying to you? Where someone like me, I can articulate it in a way that it really hits the core. That being said, let's get into this video with regards to anxiety, right? leadership, dealing with other people. And so let me give you some of the sort of not a background, but let me start with this scenario, if you will. Friday night, right? You leave the job, and it's like, oh man, there's that one person at the job you left, right? And you're like, man, it's Friday night. I'm good. I don't have to see that person or those individuals or be in that situation until Monday, okay? Or if you're on vacation, whatever. So that Friday night comes, and even though it's Friday night, you left the job, and you don't have to go back until Monday, but that thing riding on your shoulder, oh man, I have to go back, and you're like, man, like why don't I shake that off? I'm good. Then Saturday morning comes, and you wake up, and all of a sudden Monday, you got to go back to work. And I know you understand where I'm going with this, right? Like, oh man, like I got to deal with that, whether it be a supervisor or a coworker who's kind of brash and tense, right? Or like that supervisor who's just always picking on you, right? Just always like micromanaging you. And Saturday afternoon, again, that feeling of like, oh man, like why is, like, like you want to be able to spend your whole Saturday and not really think about it, but it's there, like that monkey on your back. Saturday night comes, and you're like, oh man, I have one more day. Sunday morning comes, and you're like, oh my God, I have only one day. You're literally counting hours. I have like 12 hours until I have to go back to bed the next day. And then Sunday night comes, and you're dreading. You're trying to like delay the whole entire process, because the very next day you're gonna have to deal with these individuals or so forth. Right. So that's the scenario, and I know a lot of you can relate to that. Here's the secret. Everyone deals with that. Everyone deals with that, right? No matter who you are, there's always going to be someone who's dominant. So in my previous experiences, I've worked with individuals who were dominant, right? Dominant types of people who were loud, brash, but we had a common supervisor who was not loud and brash, but who was very intense, and he was an asshole. And he even said, I'm an asshole. So even these individuals who were dominant themselves played a more reserved role when they were before this supervisor, right? Obviously, I mean, when it came to physical, these guys could take them on. So, but it's just the psychological battle between them, that even though there were times when this individual would get upset and he would curse out the supervisor and say, I'm not doing it, whatever, but it always came back where after all that passed, there was always that feeling of like, man, he's more dominant. So when the supervisor would be away, the same individuals that may have gotten into an argument with the supervisor and said, I'm not doing whatever, were like, oh man, I can't believe the supervisor's gone. Okay, good. Like, hey, so it was like the cat is gone and the mouse will come out to play, or the mice will come out to play. So that's what I'm saying to you. So it doesn't matter who you are. Like, there are individuals who always feel that way. But guess what? Unlike some of the introverts or the intuitives or some of us who have these internal anxieties, others do a better job at suppressing it, right? So us INFJs who are developed, we can mimic that suppression. We can mimic others who have a better way of suppressing their internal feelings, because they're not always in their head. They're like, oh, it happens, but they're not dwelling on it. Whereas us, it's happening and we're internal and we're dwelling on it. I'm not going to go with the FE and the TE and the dominant attention, whatever. I don't work with that. I'm a labor guy, hands, okay? I'm the common man, right? Fly over country, okay? I like to relate to these kind of people. So I'm not going to go with the FE, NI, TE, and all that stuff. So I'm sorry for you intellects out there. just common language so that everyone can understand. So what I'm getting at is that it's natural. And the secret about this, which many people don't want to tell you, won't tell you, because again, they're suppressing because they're trying to be dominant themselves. They're trying to demonstrate their dominance over people. They're not into their internal worlds. They don't always fight these internal battles that we do. I'm here to tell you, surprise, surprise, these feelings will never go away. The only way is to better manage. And how do you better manage? Time, in terms of age, right, as you mature in life, and also the more you expose yourself to these situations. So if you're at work, you're dealing with these, these tense individuals, these stress makers, as I call them. It's you sort of anticipate. So your guard is always up, right? Your the chemicals, right, in your body are always just moving. So you're always on alert. So you're sort of anticipating what they, what I'm saying to you, you're in an awakened state. When you go away for the weekend, even though it's up there because you're anticipating, but because you're involved in other things, your guard is down. You know what I'm saying to you? You develop this anxiety. And then Monday comes and it's like, oh man, I got to deal with it again. But then during that week, right, even though you may still experience these things, but you're better able to manage it, right? Because it's constant, right? Your body is adapting and helping you. But it doesn't go away ever. I'm 40 years old. The only thing is that I've been able to better manage it, and with experience and keyword competence, that is how I've been able to overcome and manage these situations. When you get older, when you become more experienced, when you become more competent, guess what? A lot of factors playing a role. You get more responsibility. You now become the supervisor. You become more responsible for overviewing and overlooking other people. You see what I'm saying to you? So that's why competency is relevant and important, because that is what helps you to navigate. Because if you remain in that situation where you haven't employed your competency level, or you haven't raised it, then you're always going to remain in this situation where you're working for people. You know what I'm saying to you? Where if you now push yourself to gain the knowledge, gain the experience, learn from the mistakes, learn from these individuals who are awful leaders, okay, and learn what not to do and what to do, because some of these poor leaders obviously have some dynamic traits that you can learn from as well. You take from that and you create your own world, and you navigate and you learn, okay, for the next time, I'm not going to put myself in that situation again. But that competency, right, that rise of competency and education and knowledge helps you so that you don't fall back into this. You know what I'm saying to you? But if you don't gain that, if you don't push yourself, if you don't put yourself in these situations to gain that knowledge and to seek an understanding, you're always going to remain in these situations, right? Again, don't forget that anxiety is always going to be there. It's always going to be there, but you're just going to be able to better manage it. So right now, I'm in a situation where I don't have to deal with these situations because, number one, I've matured. I'm in a leadership position, and yes, there's an anxiety level because because of the change of job, there's certain things that I don't know. So you may become a little bit more anxious, but that's normal, that's average, right? But because you are in that leadership role, okay, you have a responsibility to sort of suppress that and not show your subordinates or your peers that you're hurting. You know what I'm saying to you? You got to demonstrate a little bit more. Hey, I know exactly what I'm doing. But also ask for help, but ask the right people for help. Don't ask those who are, in less of a leadership role than you are for advice. You see what I'm saying to you? I mean, you can to a certain extent, obviously, but not to the point where your subordinates are looking at you like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. Like, why is he coming to me advice? He should already know this stuff. You see what I'm saying to you? Because even though they don't say it, people will think that amongst their own little circles. They'll be like, oh, he doesn't know anything. I mean, I see it all the time. And even some of the supervisors or leaders will even discuss this with these subordinates, and then they'll talk about other leaders and stuff like that. You don't want to be in that position. That's why competency is key. You got to demonstrate that so people, they don't try to put you in this box and be like, oh, this guy, he doesn't know this, because there are a lot of people who are like that. So, in closing, the secret is it's never gonna go away. I don't care how many books you read, how many people tell you, get up, stand strong, and those are the T types, those are the E types. They can deal with that because they don't have no internal feelings. It's not there. Like the intrinsic, what do you call it again? That feel, it's just not there for them. There's a disconnect there. That only people like us who have these battles, it takes longer for us to remove ourselves from that. It's like an inner battle. Yes, the more time that you are exposed to these, the easier and quicker it you know what I'm saying, you can get away from it, but it doesn't go away. Like these people, oh, get up. You know what I'm saying? Stop thinking about that. Stop thinking so deep. Like I've had, I have an uncle. Whenever I'm talking to, other individuals, he'll pass by, but hey, stop getting so deep. You know what I'm saying to you? And it's like, bro, you know what I'm saying to you? Because it's for them, it's like, it doesn't resonate with them. You know what I'm saying to you? But for us, it's like, it's important because that deepness, I'm figuring people out. I'm figuring you out. And that's helping me to internalize a lot of information so that's how I gain my knowledge. You gain your knowledge somewhere else or however you do your thing. So just buzz off. Again, don't listen. Not don't listen. Don't believe people when they tell you that it's going to go away. You'll have a better chance in managing it based on your competency level, your experiences, your know-how, your knowledge, your fortitude, your will to blow past that. But it's not going to go away. And the more time you spend away from, is the more you'll have to now get back on the saddle. Again, going back to it's not to toot my horn, because every time I always make these references back to my previous career fields. It's like when I used to make traffic stops, right? People don't really understand traffic stops, right? When it comes to police traffic stops, he'll think, oh, a cop comes out and, hey, license registration. If you're at night, you're in a bad area, it's tough. If you're not accustomed to doing it, like the first few times you've been, let's say, away for like a couple weeks on leave, right? And now you have to get out of your car and then you're met with, some suspect individuals that you don't know what's going on, windows tinted, right? Beat up car. Yeah, like you don't know. You have to approach this situation not knowing whether or not you're going to be able to get back to your car or even go back home. So you get that anxiety like, oh man. But after a couple stops, after that night, you do a couple stops, it just becomes like, okay, just like a regular routine. Obviously we shouldn't be complacent, but you get the picture, right? It becomes a little bit more manageable. Yeah, you still have that feeling every time, but you have a little bit more courage, a little bit more what do you call it again, right? Like the stress levels are not as high, right? The anxiety levels are not as high as when you first started that night, right? So because you've warmed up, right? Same thing when you're performing, like if you're a dancer, when you first get on stage, it's like but after your couple routines, guess what? what enables you to overcome a lot of these anxieties when you're able to land those moves, or if you're painting or if you're a photographer and you land those shots consecutively, it's like, okay, I got this. I'm in a rhythm. I'm good, right? But if you've been away for a couple of days and you haven't made any shots, you got to warm up to it. So it's the same thing with us, right? Thing is that we internalize it. It's in us. We can't speak to anyone about it. We can't, because if you do, no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to hear it. So it's basically, it's like an inner battle. So like for me, doing this is like therapy in a way. That's a little secret, okay, if you will. But a lot of people aren't going to express this, and that's why I'm expressing it. And that's why I've read comments in other places. Oh, you know, people shouldn't only make specific videos, for just one type. Well, I don't relate to other types, right? I can make a video on how I perceive others, but I feel it's just inauthentic because that's not me. That's not my job. You know what I'm saying to you? Which I also make that reference in my other video. And I think by putting this video out first, you'll understand where I'm coming from with that. Like the feelings that we get, I cannot transfer it to an ESTP. Like that's their own person. Like there's certain things that they understand, they go through. That yeah, I may understand from the outside perspective and how I deal with them, but I'm not gonna go to your house and try to explain who you are. Like inauthentic to me. Like authenticity is very key for me. You know what I'm saying to you? Like I'm not gonna go into your house and a lot of the T types, they feel that they can. The ET types, they feel that they can just go in and tell you what to do. And just be like, hey, that's why you have a lot of people who are always in your business, right? Micromanagers. They feel that they can tell you and how you live your life. I'm not going to. I don't impose my personal views. You know what I'm saying to you? I don't impose my ways because I've learned by reading people that people don't want that. The same people who do it to you, they don't want it done to themselves. So I'm not going to do it to you just because you do it to me, because I'm authentic like that. You know what I'm saying to you? And I respect people's boundaries. It took a while of reading, you know what I'm saying, learning, understanding people, getting feedback. But again, just to get back, a lot of this stuff you're not going to get. You know what I'm saying to you? Because I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't see it online. Like this real world. And the thing is, I feel that I have a responsibility to give it back, to help those. I don't keep track of subscribers, of viewership, of comments. I always keep my email open. So if you want to email me directly, info@boothridertv.com, you want to discuss any topic, it doesn't matter what it is, except if it's science or intellectual jargon, don't come to me with that. But if it has to do with social issues within any area, come to me. And if I don't have the answer, I'll find a way, I'll find the answer, and I'll provide it for you. I won't leave you hanging. But it's on a one-on-one basis. I'm not looking to have this whole conversation in the comment section, because that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying to you? I don't deal like that. So the information that I'm giving is just for you. But this information is not the Holy Grail. You obviously have to compare it and contrast it with other sources, which I can tell you, you're very limited. But if you're the intellect type, right? There's an idea. Take my real world social delivery and pair it with the intellectual MBTI jargon, right? In terms of the function stack, and see how they pair. And then maybe that works for you. I don't work with the whole, TE, tension, FI, NI, whatever. But if that works for you, take what I've said, because we're all social, we're all alive and breathing, apply it to that, right, to that formula, and see what comes out. Again, info@boothridertv.com. Johnny Fontana, Real World INFJ. We out.